Risk of Rain 2 is a 3D roguelike game with unique survivors as the main characters. However, with mods, you can add all kinds of crazy stuff, from harder difficulties, unused enemies, being floppy, or adding new survivors. So today we'll be taking a look at one of the most popular mods, being Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. For this guide, we're going to go through an overview of the skills, transformations, gameplay tips, and then some good item synergies. Now, where Goku might be an all-rounder, good at everything, Vegeta becomes a powerhouse able to destroy large amounts of foes late and early game. To start off with, Vegeta's passive, Saiyan Blood, fundamentally changes how the game works. Instead of skills being tied to a cooldown, they're now tied to a resource called Ki. You're able to transform once the conditions have been met by pressing F, and you're able to de-transform by pushing X. You're able to fly by consuming Ki, and when you're flying, you can hold the sprint button to run, which boosts your speed and takes up more Ki. Vegeta also has the ability to get a Zenkai boost, a unique effect that is triggered by either dying or staying below 20% HP for 30 consecutive seconds. This is essentially a pearl, so you get increases to your base health regen, armor, movement speed, attack speed, damage, and power level by 10% per stack. Okay, now moving on to the actual skills. Vegeta's main primary is the melee strike. It does 280% damage on each hit, and then each time you punch, you move forward. So it's important to watch your spacing with this. If you run out of Ki, you can also use it as a jank way to fly. Now, his secondary skills are Ki Blast, which costs 10 Ki for the initial cast, and then Rapid Fire's Blast that deal 120% damage. If you end up holding this skill, which is the optimal way of using it, it consumes 18 Ki per shot. Now, this works really great as an ability to close the distance or attack while moving away. Plus, they're incredibly fast, so you can just pump them out. Now, his other skill is Rising Sledgehammer. It's this 2-hit melee attack that deals 400% damage on the first hit, and that knocks enemies upward unless they're large. And then on the second hit, if you continue holding it, slams them down, dealing 1100% damage. This one-shots most enemies early on, but considering it costs 30 Ki to cast, doesn't really grant you armor or any sort of benefit for being that close, and doesn't give you Ki on hit, I don't really find it that useful. Instead, I just opt to punch them if they're up close. His utility skill is Empowered Ki Charge, the classic kind of Dragon Ball power-up. It causes you to stop in midair or on the ground, and you begin charging Ki rapidly. You get 20 per second. It gives you 100 armor if you're charging on the ground, which blocks 50% of damage, which is incredibly useful early game, and even later game, it's not bad. And if you use it in the air, you only get 50 armor, so you get a 33% reduction of damage. Not bad, but not the worst. This skill is great for stopping your momentum, so if you happen to build up a lot of speed items, you can use this to stop you immediately. It also makes you immune to the freezing effect of ice bombs. Finally, for Vegeta's R skills, we have two. We have the Gallic Gun, which costs 40 Ki to initially cast, and then it deals 1500% damage in a straight line. However, if you hold R, you can actually charge this up, and you can walk around while doing so, and it'll drain Ki rapidly, dealing 800% additional damage per second of charging. Now, as soon as you let go of that R button, you're firing this beam and you are locked in place, so it's important to keep that in mind for any beam attacks in the future. Secondly, we have the Galaxy Breaker, costing 100 Ki to cast, and it deals 3600 damage per second in a giant straight line above you. It's essentially just a vertical beam, but it does twice as much damage as the Gallic Gun. So same deal, you can hold R to keep charging this, and it deals an additional 1600% damage per second of charge. Now, unlike Gallic Gun, you are forced to stand still as you're charging. However, this is about twice as powerful, so if you get under an enemy or you're in a big cluster, very effective at killing them all. While most characters in Risk of Rain 2 only have 4 abilities, Vegeta comes packed with tons of transformations. Now, this is the true meat of the character. You are able to level up each transformation to achieve a state of mastery and unlock new ones. This creates a fun gameplay loop of powering up, getting a new form, powering up that form until you get the next one. Now, you're able to have a max of 9 and a minimum of 1 forms. To unlock more, all you have to do is level up your mastery level. To do this, all you need to do is deal damage or exist. Now, leveling up your mastery level gives you a plus 2% to that form's base damage, key charge, and armor. Then you get a plus 5% to key drain reduction and an additional 0.1 to passive key regen. Once you hit 20 levels in that form, it means you drain 0 ki per second without doing anything else. So that means you're able to achieve mastery once you get there. However, that doesn't mean base form is useless. Every time you level that up, you get plus 20 ki by default added to your pool. Now, Super Saiyan, achieved when you hit 10 total mastery levels. This form has the V skill for Big Bang Attack. It costs 60 ki to cast, and it's a small AoE blast. It deals 1600% damage, and it's pretty useful at killing mooks if you have ukulele or gasoline, as it'll just proc on all the enemies in that group. Next up, we have Ascended. This needs 16 total levels, and its V skill is Final Flash. It costs 120 ki to cast and deals 3000 damage in a concentrated beam. Alright, once you hit 22 levels, you'll be prompted to allow an evil power to control you. If you hold F to accept it, you are granted a permanent 50% armor and damage buff, as well as a 20% attack and movement speed increase. However, it has this side effect where you'll have the chance to be stunned every 20 to 40 seconds. Once you reach level 48, all those negative effects get removed, and then you're just left with the bonuses. I would only recommend taking this if you're confident in your own ability to play. If you aren't, it isn't worth it. After you hit 25 levels, you'll unlock Super Saiyan 2. This form has the Final Explosion as its V skill, which is unique from any of the other skills. It costs 200 ki to start up, and it continues to drain ki until you have 0 left. Once you have 0 left, it'll start draining health, which can in fact kill you. With that being said, however, it creates a large stage-encompassing blast that deals 2500% damage and kills pretty much everything around you. It, however, isn't really worth using on your own unless you have some teammates or a Dios to pick you back up after you fall, which, believe me, will happen. This optional form requires 38 levels and has the Final Flash V skill. It's worth taking as the higher damage bonus from this form makes Final Flash more powerful. Another optional form, Super Saiyan 4. This form requires 48 levels and has the Final Shine attack as its V skill. It costs 80 ki and it fires a 3600% damage beam. It, however, allows you to walk before firing, but you can't charge it, so it has that sort of trade-off. Alright, on to Super Saiyan God. This takes 50 levels to achieve, and this, as well as all God forms, all uniquely have improved health regen. Its V skill is Prominence Flash, and it costs 200 ki to cast, and it's this large beam that deals 1550% damage. It's pretty strong. This form is arguably the best of his God forms until you get to Blue Evolved. With a whopping 70 levels to achieve, Super Blooper Saiyan has a unique melee-based V skill, Costs 300 ki to cast, and then you rush forward with a series of punches, and the last punch does 666. It's a real Hellraiser, I know. Just kidding, this skill is pretty worthless, and this form is pretty garbage. Worth just using God over this one. Alright, getting close to the end, we have God 3. This needs 75 levels, and this form is just God plus. Same V skill, more damage, you know how it goes. Alright, next up we have Blue 3, which is just Blue plus, which is God minus, so don't take this one. Alright, second to last, we have Blue Evolved. This has the best V skill, being the full power final explosion. Similar to Super Saiyan 2, except this version won't kill you. It will at least leave you with 1 HP left. By this point in the run, you should have plenty of healing, so you should be totally fine. Finally, at a whopping 122 levels, we have Blue Evolved 3. It is just a more powerful Blue Evolved. This is the best form you could have. Always take this. Very good. You get huge explosions. Very powerful. What more could you want? Moving on to items, let's start with the white items. To start out with, we have the Syringe, Crit Glasses, Crowbar, Gasoline, Bungus, Topaz Approach, and Tougher Times. Now, attack speed is not only useful, considering Vegeta is more of a hit and run playstyle, as you're going to use Ki Blast to get closer to enemies or to retreat, but he's also a tank. So with all these moves that lock him in place, having things like the Bungus, Topaz Approach, and Tougher Times allow him to actually tank those hits and stay up close. For green items, we have the Will-O-Wisp, both the Fire and Ice Bands, Ukulele, Leeching Seed, Berserker's Pauldron, Wax Quail, and Infusion. Getting caught in place is probably the worst thing that could happen to you, and there are a lot of moves to keep you in place. So having the Wax Quail to get that burst speed is incredibly useful. Now, having the Berserker's Pauldron just allows you to pump out Ki Blasts, and that is such an essential part of your kit. It is important to be able to do that at most times. The rest are mostly crowd control, which you're doing big AoE blasts, so those are good to have. For yellow, we have the Planula and Titanic Neural. Both of these items are focused on healing, which allows Vegeta to be a tank. Pretty similar approach to the white items, not too much different. And last but not least, we have our red items or legendary items. Honestly, any red item is a great choice. Vegeta already is an incredibly strong character, so you could give him the Behemoth, the Unstable Tesla Coil, Hard Light Afterburner. They're all great choices. Pretty much whatever you want to fit your playstyle, you can make it work. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a comment suggesting anything I might have messed up. Genuinely curious what other people do with this character. I haven't experienced it a lot. And I'll see you next time with another video.